Hello and welcome to day 22 of this Unity Game Development Journal. And to end off last week, I was trying to figure out a way that I could get my characters to move around, and that caused me to do a couple other little cleanup things, but I never really did solve the character moving feature that I was trying to do. And it's not the main character moving, it's all the other characters. How are they going to move without any input, like just on their own? And that involves AI of some sort. It can be a basic AI where it's just move from point A to point B. But if there's any obstacles between point A and point B, how do they handle that? Do they just stop? Do they move around? Do they find the best path? How is that dealt with? Also, is there going to be multiple different things they can choose from between, different states, like just moving to something, or solving a problem, or attacking, or watching, these types of things. So, and I started working on that, and then I realized that the current solution for my map using Tiled and Unity2tiled was going to make that a much harder problem than it probably has to be. Whereas if I just roll out my own custom map classes and my own custom way of managing the tiles and the tile data, I can probably accomplish a lot of these other features that are a little bit more complicated a lot easier with that custom map uh, scripts and classes and models and everything. So I'm just testing now, and I'm going to work on throughout this week is solving this map dilemma. I'm testing right now how I can actually generate this stuff, all this map information on my own without using Tiled or Tiled to Unity. And you're going to find, even with today's little test, that I'm able to manage player boundaries on the map, like the edge of the map, so they can't cross the edge of the map. It stops the character from moving. And what that's doing is not using colliders at all. There's nothing to do with Unity there. All I'm doing is just testing the tile that I'm standing on and if I'm allowed to walk there or not. The other thing that allows me to do is also test what type of tile I'm standing on, whether it's a ground tile or an empty tile or whatever. That so far I only have the two tiles, ground and empty. But as soon as I walk or transition onto a different tile, it updates my console saying you are now on the empty tile or you're now on the ground tile. And that is extremely important for dealing with any AI or any pathfinding, because what you want an AI to do is be able to test where they're standing, where their current position is, and then test everything around them to see, can I move there or can't I? And that tells the algorithm what the best path is to achieve from getting from point A to point B is. And so rolling out this my own thing within a few hours today, well, maybe 4 hours, I was able to accomplish a pretty big size map, 10,000 tiles, using very little, you know, very small game objects. They're all game objects, but they're very small, auto-generated. They're dynamically generated through script. Um, and I'm also able to test exact data of the tiles and boundaries. So let's just jump into that real quick. I'm going to show you. So what's going to happen here is it's going to auto-generate, I'm just going to jump in here, these tiles here. So starting here I'm at 0, 0, and it just, for every game unit, it places a tile. So at a coordinate system, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, all the way through. And so there's 100 going across the X and 100 going up on the Y, so that's 10,000. And you can see they're all here under this world controller. This is the file that actually creates them, and it sticks them all as a child. So here's tile 0, 0. And a tile is simply an object with a sprite render, nothing else. There's no colliders, there's nothing on there, it's just an image. And the empty ones actually don't have any image. This is an empty one, it has no sprite at all. It just happens to have the renderer there. I could even turn that off if I wanted to, right? It doesn't affect anything, which I probably should do. I don't know if that speeds things up or not, who knows, but I could do some tests for that. So let's go ahead and walk around. So one thing I have here is in the bottom, in the console, it's a little easier to read along the bottom here, is the tile that the player is on is printed out here. So I'm currently on an empty tile, but if I move up, you can see now I'm on a ground tile, which is this grass. Now I'm on empty, ground. So I'm getting constant feedback of every tile type that I'm on. And it's not just the tile name, I'm just printing the name, but it gives me all the information about that tile, whatever's in that tile class. It gives me the coordinate, the world it belongs to, the name, and anything else I'm going to put in there that I want. So I know all of that information. Now obviously these colliders still work on these game objects because they're from the previous versions that I had, but they're just sitting there in the map. And another thing you can see is as I move over this way, my player stops moving. And if I move down, my player stops moving down. Now I'm accomplishing this by using nothing but the tile information that I'm getting for when I stand on a tile. And what I do is if I want to move to the left, I just say, okay, what is the next tile over to the left? Can I move there or can't I? And it's a simple question, just the same as I'm asking what tile I'm standing on now. I ask what tile is to the left. And if it tells me that I don't have a tile to the left, I can't move there. If it tells me in the future I might have tiles that I can't move onto, like a rock tile, and I can't move onto that one. And this is requiring no collisions at all. And to prove that, you can see there is no bounding boxes there. I can show you the B there. You can see the bounding box. The trash, we'll click on the bounding boxes there, the collisions. Um, and if I go to the tile, you can see I see the position thing, but nothing else. There's no collision boxes drawn there. There's no gizmos drawn on any of these tiles. I can go down them all. There's no collisions drawn at all. It's just sprite renderers. So they're very lightweight objects that I can put a ton of them onto the screen, and it doesn't really affect much of anything at all. Another way we can look at that is in the stats. So I'm running about only because I'm recording. This is usually above 60 FPS, but when see it's hitting about 60 right there. Because I'm recording, it's dropping that a little bit, but not too much. Now the batches is a little bit high. Um, Typically it's much less than that, so I'm wondering. Sometimes it does that. I'm going to check. I'm going to look into this because this is very early on in the process. So batches 3, 27, 30. So one thing I'm not doing is I'm not removing these game objects and then putting them on when it's in or out of camera view, which is something I could be doing to optimize this stuff. Um, but so far it's running at like around 60 FPS, not a problem. That's with the recording going on. So really quite neat. The boundaries are all perfect. I have these errors that pop up just to say that the tile is out of range. I'm putting that there to show that there is no tile here when it's trying to find one. What it does is it tries to find a tile there, and if there isn't one, it returns that error and returns null as the tile type. And that's what my movement is testing, is if it's getting a null as a return, then you can't move there, so stop moving. That's pretty much what's going on there. So that's what I've worked on today. It's going to lead to something pretty cool in the future, especially with automatic AI pathfinding and generating these maps. I think it's going to be a much cooler way of doing this in the 2D game. Most people try and accomplish this kind of stuff using all these 3D techniques with the colliders and the physics and stuff. I think a lot of it, I think we will use colliders and physics like I am doing here, but I think a lot of it, just the basic map stuff, can be done with just basic sprites and displaying the sprites to the screen. So really cool technique, and I'm going to try working on this into the future. And throughout this week, hopefully get it to a good point to put into the final game. So thanks for watching. This is a day 22, starting week 4. And subscribe if you want to follow along with the process, or comment if you have any comments or questions. And if you learned anything or liked the video, drop a like. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.